Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you happen to be watching this. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm going to run over the parameters for the final essay in my class for fall semester 2023. And there are going to be some of the caveats that I'm going to be pretty hardcore on when it comes to the final grading. So I hope that you pay attention through this whole presentation. Once again, all of the images and quoted text are used for educational purposes. I'm not trying to pick a fight with anybody. The prompt is fairly simple. Write an evaluation essay over one of the following green essays slash podcasts: Auld Lang Syne, Diet Dr. Pepper, Kentucky Bluegrass, Plague, the Notes app. I did a quick check. These are available as podcasts on the page, on the podcast page, and they're also all in the books. So, however you choose to consume, however you choose to, uh, whichever one you choose to go over, that's fine. But you're writing an evaluation essay. Please pay attention to the other presentation that will go live today about the presentation essay and or excuse me, about the evaluation essay, and make sure that you're, you know, filling all of the gaps, uh, fulfilling all of the requirements for that essay. This essay must use three forms of development that we use this semester. It's a final, and therefore we're going to treat it kind of like a final and cover everything. Cause and effect, comparison and contrast, definition, narrative. You'll notice that the summary response isn't there, but the response that you did was in some ways a form of evaluation. I'm just going to be asking that you're much, much more complete with this one and that you're not, the response allowed you to do just one thing. This one obviously is asking you to do at least three things. It's a different sort of essay. There are some caveats. The narrative element of the evaluation should be less than 1/4 of the paper. We did two narratives already. I mean, the cause and effect, in a lot of ways, was a narrative. It was your feelings about university life and what caused them. It has to be about the essay and the podcast, not the subject matter. You don't get to write about Diet Dr. Pepper for 2 or 3 pages. You're writing about Green's view of Diet Dr. Pepper for 2 or 3 pages. I don't care if Auld Lang Syne makes you cry every New Year's Eve and you want to write about your joy of crying over Auld Lang Syne. What does Green have to say about it? And what's your evaluation of what Green has to say about it? Same with the plague, same with all of those essays that we have there, all 5 of them. Pick one, evaluate the work, not the subject matter of the work. Be original. For example, we've complained about Green's digressions throughout the semester. That's not an option this time around. It's absolutely positively not an option. We're going to take the thing as a whole, not one minor thing. Okay? We're going to try to look for new material this time. The essay rubric, 3 forms of development, that's part of the caveats. Evaluating the essay slash podcast, not the subject matter, it's part of the caveats. The limits on the narrative, it's in the assignment clearly. I'm looking you to do the assignment. Well-developed reasons for the evaluation. In other words, if you don't like it, do you have solid reasons? And are there concrete details from the essay to support your assertions? We're not getting away from the basics. Claim, data, warrant. All of that still needs to be there. And in this case, the data are the concrete details from the essay. The Mount Marty essay. I talked in class and we went through a lot of examples in each of my sections about papers that did not have a full thesis. Make sure you have a complete thesis that gives you the roadmap. Make sure that your organization is clear. Are you going from the most important reason to the least important reason? Are you jumping around a little bit because one of your reasons is not very good? So perhaps you want to start strong and bury the weaker reason. Are you doing something that makes sense? Do you have the evidence? Are you avoiding all of the sentence errors? And we're going to pick that up in a little bit as well. The specifics. Final copy is due December 11th at 11:59 p.m. Paper should be between 2 and 5 pages, as always. The paper must be double spaced. Do the font or the spacing change and use the Google Docs or the Microsoft Word default prompt. As always, the header is the first 4 lines. It should not be in the header part. It should, be in the paper proper. I don't want to see it in all 4 pages or 3 pages or whatever. Make sure you have a title. And I want to emphasize here, make sure that the title is a little bit more than Evaluating Dr. Pepper. That's fine for putting it in the heading. It's not fine for the actual title. Default font and centered on the page. Don't center the whole paper. Make sure you uncenter afterwards. Make sure you get back to the left justify. And there should not be an extra double space between the title and body of the paper. Also, there's no need for the extra double space between paragraphs, and indent your paragraphs. Some of you on the last paper did not have indentions, and it made it kind of hard to tell where one paragraph began and the other ended. Indent the paragraphs. Finally, do all of the things. We've talked about being short, not shallow, making every word count, being concise, being active, having the subject perform the action. Do that. Explain all of the reasons. Explain the how and the why. Have the thesis that provides the roadmap. Paragraphs should fully develop single points. Avoid the death by 1,000 paper cuts, grammar, spelling, mechanics, and usage. For example, right above you, I have an error that's one of the death by 1,000 paper cuts. Have a point, say something, say it well. And to go back to the grammar and spelling, things we talked about with first person, second person, all of those things, work on that as well. This is the final. Make sure you treat it as a final. I'm not trying to threaten or anything, but I think I will be looking at this a little bit more harshly, I guess I'm going to use that word, than I normally would with some of the other papers. This is your final. We've gone through a whole semester. Prove that you've learned. Hope everybody has a good day. Hope to see you in class the next class period.